Hello mate, how's it going? Welcome back to Football Therapy, my YouTube channel. With me, your host Jan. I hope you're doing well, I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News. The Chelsea News, ladies and gentlemen. What are we reflecting on? Troublesome times at Stamford Bridge, coming off the Benzema hat-trick, problems in defence. Centre-backs at the door, basically, an ageing and deteriorating midfield that we are going to address today. And the gaffer, Thomas Tuchel, ain't happy, mate. He's not happy, and I kind of understand why. We're going to be referencing articles from both The Guardian by Nick Ames and Goal.com. We're referencing a little bit from the Czar Kinsella's article. Please do consider subscribing if you enjoy daily content from yours truly. You might dig it, man. Likes and subscribes are nice. Before we get into it, some context of what we're discussing today. Is this a little bit dark? It kind of feels a bit dark. The sun was out earlier. Chelsea lost 3-0 to Real Madrid. Karim Benzema, hat-trick. Out of 1.3 XG, they scored 3 goals. Chelsea actually had a bigger XG than Real Madrid in that game. Mendy made yet another passing mistake. The midfield was torn through like butter. Lukaku came on and missed some sitters just to make Karim Benzema look a little bit better. We're going to talk about Thomas Tuchel's comments after the game. We're going to talk about Joringho and N'Golo Kante. Future issues. Of course, Todd Boehly, prospective Chelsea new owner, attended the game at Stamford Bridge last night. What he must have thought watching that. I thought I was trying to buy the champions of Europe. Anyway, first off, I want to talk about N'Golo Kante, who's been absolutely magnificent for Chelsea. Why can't I change the aperture? Never mind. But lately he's not been his best, essentially. I'm not saying Kante is dusted, but he's 31 now. He's relied on this sort of high-octane, energetic approach, but he has been poor for a while, as has Joringho. I know he got an assist yesterday, but two players that, both in their 30s now, both heavily relied on. And look, man, I'm not saying if you're in your 30s, you're done out here as a midfielder. Fernandinho, Luka Modric would have something to say about that. At like 36 or 37, he's still incredible, but he's a different kind of midfielder. Chelsea, of course, looking. Let's read an extract from the Czar Kinsella's article from Goal.com. He talked about N'Golo Kante. If this is the beginning of the end for Kante at Chelsea, though it is a sad twist to the story of one of the world of football's most beloved players, of course reflecting on a difficult spell for Kante. Against Madrid, Kante had the lowest passing accuracy of all Chelsea's central midfielders. He did not complete a single dribble, he did not win a single tackle, he did not make a single interception, or he did not make a single clearance. In truth, it was a display in keeping with Kante's struggles in recent months, with the France international having not looked his best, or not looked himself, since returning from the knee and groin injuries in the midst of Chelsea's difficult run in winter. Even though injury problems are not new for Kante, given his issues ever since the 2019 Europa League, a lot of people still think Sarri's got blood on his hands for playing him in that game when he was injured. Europa League final, he could still be counted to turn up to the big games, often winning Man of the Match awards with those kind of displays. Of course, last season, in the 2 legs against Real Madrid in the semi-final, he won Man of the Match in both, and the final as well, so this was only a year ago, but, and the Blues would not be current European and world champions if it wasn't for Kante. Now, though, those injuries, coupled with his advancing years, seem to have taken their toll on a midfielder who is relied upon in his unique blend of energy and technical quality to dominate opponents. His consistency in recent seasons has been unmatched by any of his peers in any position at Chelsea. While many have described him as the world's best midfielder, there's two Kantes, etc. Such was his level, Tuchel took his chance and presumed Kante would return to form against Los Blancos. That gamble did not pay off, with Luka Modric and Toni Kroos pulling into wide areas, dragging Kante with them, leaving huge spaces for Madrid to build up attacks through the middle. That Kante's struggles on Wednesday came after a similarly poor result showing 4 days before against Brentford earlier. It's not just Carlo Ancelotti that has neutralised Kante, essentially. Look, man, it's not just Kante. Kante's been poor lately, and I do worry about it. I understand why Tuchel plays him, because Tuchel, like, when he came to Chelsea, he says he's always wanted the coach N'Golo Kante, and that he tried to get him. He basically said, I've desperately wanted him at PSG. Now I've got him, that's all I care about. I'm happy I've got N'Golo Kante. And you can understand that. And, you know, when you've got someone like Thiago Silva at 37, but Thiago Silva in a back three can do the business at his age. And as a centre-back, you don't do as much running as the type of profile as N'Golo Kante. I do worry. I don't want us to lose N'Golo Kante. So I think, you know, I think he's got another year after this summer. Happy for him to be at the club. If Chelsea want to sell him in, you know, to PSG for, how much do you get for Kante these days in this form? £40 million or something? £30 million? Then it'll be sad and difficult, but you have to address what's happening in the squad. Similarly with Jorginho, look, Jorginho had an amazing season last year. He was really good in the Champions League and, you know, really good quite good in the Euros, important at times. And, I don't know, is this uncertainty just affecting all the players? Jorginho's agent makes it sound like he just wants to go back to Italy, or he wants a new contract at Chelsea on a lot of money. Is there a situation in a world where Chelsea sell both Jorginho and N'Golo Kante, they bring in Conor Gallagher and buy a new midfielder, and whether you're on the Declan Rice train or the Aurelien Tchouameni train, you might get neither, you might get someone else, that perhaps a more conventional lone DM defensive midfielder is brought in that is... Jorginho is a regista. N'Golo Kante is like a roaming destroyer. You need like you need someone like a Declan Rice or an Aurelien Tchouameni to be like a CDM, like a proper, like, I'm going to stay here, protect the back four, and not only can I pass quickly, but I'm strong and I can hold the ball up and, you know, just to anchor, stop here and anchor, do you know what I mean? And neither Kante or Jorginho can do that for different reasons, because it's not their player profile and style. Maybe that's the case. Freshen up a midfield and see what happens. I'm keen to get your thoughts on that, fellas. So make sure you do comment down below on that. And we're going to move on and we're going to talk about this Guardian article from Nick Ames talking about what Thomas Tuchel said. Ready? Strapped in? A downcast Thomas Tuchel declared Chelsea's position in the Champions League final against Real Madrid to be irretrievable after their 3-1 first leg defeat at Stamford Bridge, describing his team's slump in form as alarming. 7 goals in 2 games is absolutely alarming. Both at home, by the way. Both at home. Chelsea must produce a significant turnaround at the Bernabeu next Tuesday if they are to hold hope of retaining a trophy. And Tuchel poured cold water on their hopes in doing so, saying he could not explain as the atrocious 5 days where they lost 4-1 to Brentford, of course. He said, quote, "No, not at the moment, no." If you don't laugh, you'll cry, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not criticising him for being emotional or soberly honest after a game. He said when he was asked whether the tie was still alive despite Karim Benzema's decisive hat-trick, he said, because we have to find our level back. I don't know where it is. Since the international break, our first half is a repetition of the second half against Brentford in a quarter-final of the Champions League against Real Madrid. We were so far off our level. It's absolutely everything the game demands. You cannot expect a result with this kind of performance. Tuchel reiterated his shock as such two comprehensive defeats at Stamford Bridge were followed a run of 10 wins from 14 unbeaten in all games. We were, okay, look, we were in good form. We were. But we weren't like, remember when we beat Juventus 4-0 and we kept winning? We were like, we're kings of the world, Chilwell and James. No wonder we're top of the Premier League. We are probably going to retain our Champions League crown. That was like that was like different gravy, do you know what I mean? Whereas these recent wins are a little bit, we're just getting it done in turbulent times, you know? No one knows who's going to buy Chelsea. We're sort of slithering through. You know, it wasn't great. Quote, after the international break, we don't look the same. I don't really have an explanation. As before, we were on a long winning streak and there were games very competitive, he said. We didn't change anything. It's alarming. 2 games, 7 goals conceded. But nothing has changed. Something has changed, mate. Invited to clarify his assertion that the tie cannot be won from here, Tuchel doubled down, saying, if you want to put it like that in a sentence, do it. He said, today, with this performance, is it alive? No. If we don't get our heads and legs straight, then we will not beat Southampton. And this tie is not alive. And then this tie is not alive. If things change, maybe. But we need 3 goals. And how often does this happen? We need to find our competitive spirit. Then we can talk. If we keep on playing like this, we will lose to Southampton. And then we don't need to think about the Bernabeu. We will get hammered in the Bernabeu. Carlo Ancelotti struck less of a strident note despite commanding performance. They were 2-1 up at half-time, thanks to 2 stunning Benzema headers, and they were stunning, before the Frenchman capitalised on Mendy's mistake 45 seconds into the second period. Ancelotti said, of course we have the lead, but the tie is still open, he said. We no longer have the away goals rule, which is an advantage for Chelsea now. I think Real Madrid played better, but there is another huge game to go and anything can happen. Like, of course he's going to say that, Ancelotti, and look, man, I'm in my head, like many Chelsea fans, I'm like, right, it's done. And I am sort of concerned about that. I was quite agnostic and chilled about the Champions League, because I was like, look, we're already champions. We just need to sell the club. We need to just finish in the top 4 and see what happens. See what happens in the FA Cup. See what happens in the Champions League. I didn't, if we lost it, we lost it. But see, I saw what happened yesterday, and it was a shit show. That's the worrying part. Letting Benzema do that to you, they're amazing goals, and yes, then apart from Rudiger and Mendy, that's big and bad enough, Rudiger and Mendy mistakes, but just don't let Benzema fucking cook. So I shouldn't swear, sorry, I've been slipping recently on the channel, I need to be careful. What was that? Christensen is out the door, mate. Don't play him again. I heard my mates on the London is Blue podcast talk about, look, just start Trevor Chalobah. He's going to be at Chelsea next season. Christensen isn't. And they're right. Start Trev. Bun Christensen. He's done out here. Midfield, I have no idea what we're going to bloody do. Do you bring in Saul? I tell you what you do. You start Kovacic. How I haven't mentioned that sooner is wild. Our form midfielder. I've got no problem with Tuchel believing in Ruben, because I'm a bit like biased and it's a nice story, and if he wants to play him and sees use for him, then great. But my word, man, start Kovacic and have a clear out, mate. Keep Aspi fine, but don't rely on Aspi so much next season. Don't look to Alonso at all. We need a new left wing back. We need possibly a right wing back, depending on if you could use Aspi and Hudson-Odoi as rotation, which doesn't inspire much people. We need to sort the midfield. We need to clear out. If you said to me, Jan, 3 players that you could choose to sell and make money off, Christensen's gone, so he's not sale. He's just gone. You'd say Alonso. You'd say probably Lukaku if you could get money and sell him, and Timo Werner. Look, man, Pulisic yesterday was awful. I don't think, you could say, I don't think Mason Mount had a good game, but Mason Mount's an important player to Chelsea and Tuchel. He's got a lot of goals and assists, and he works hard and tries to get involved. And games never really pass him by. He can be bad in games and make mistakes, but he's involved to make those mistakes. Do you know what I mean? Whereas you can see people like Pulisic just games pass him by. And I don't want us to get rid of Pulisic. I think he's good. I just don't think he could be relied on as much. That's where we're at, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think. It's pretty wild out here. Tuchel's pissed off. We need a shakedown. And do you know what's pissed? Like while I'm in rant mode, Chelsea are of course far off Liverpool and City. But I'm gonna use City as an example because they're the ones I've been comparing to in my head in terms of this. Chelsea could be in a good run of form and look unique. Say when the wing backs are doing well and were looking great. City's crisis is maybe losing 2-0 to Crystal Palace and like a completely weird result. Chelsea like shipped 5 or 6 to like Bournemouth, West Brom, 4 to Brentford on the regs. That isn't good enough, man. What's happening? Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Sub, please. Like, etc. Please.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy tuck. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I love me, bitch.